More likely than not, that 0.01% is all it takes to tip the scales of justice. Join us as Inner Circle legend Charla Aldous, Eleanor Aldous, and Caleb Miller walk you through the critical moments, big decisions, and bold strategies that win high-stakes cases and show you how to turn that 0.01% into a game-changing verdict. You're listening to the podcast where winning is more likely than not. Produced and powered by LawPods.
Hello, welcome to episode number 3 of More Likely Than Not, the Aldous Law Firm's podcast, which I say every time it's the youngsters in our firm that got me to do this. But it's been really exciting to endeavor into this new area that I'm totally unfamiliar with. Today we are so lucky to have Lisa Blue and Robert Hirschhorn to speak with us on the future of jury selection in the age of AI. Many of you have heard of Robert Hirschhorn and Lisa Blue. Lisa is a trial lawyer, an author, a forensic psychologist, and renowned jury consultant, one of my best friends in the whole universe. She started at the DA's office here in Dallas and tried over 125 cases, then moved to Barron & Budd, where she eventually helped manage the biggest environmental law firm in the United States. Her late husband, Fred Barron, was known as the King of Torts. Is that right?
Well, one of them. There were many.
King of Torts. She has written many books on jury selection,
with Robert.
And trials, and I was about to add, those books a lot of times have been co-authored with Robert Hirschhorn, her good friend. Robert is also a lawyer, author, and jury consultant. I think you've been a jury consultant, Robert, since 1985. Am I
85,
right? 85.
Exactly right.
And he helped select juries and consulted on cases that have returned verdicts in the tens of billions, and that's a B, not an M.
Yes, ma'am.
And just to give you just in the last year, think about this, $2.065 billion in the Georgia State Court in a roundup case, $109.5 million for severe burns due to a house explosion, $60 million against Meade Johnson in the first Enfamil baby formula case, $2.25 billion awarded by a Philadelphia State Court jury in a roundup case, $175 awarded by a Philadelphia State jury in a roundup case. I mean, Robert, I could go on, and you've also been involved in some really high-profile criminal cases.
We have.
Was it the William Kennedy
Smith sexual assault case down in Florida.
And you did the Trayvon Martin, is that
George Zimmerman was the client in that case.
Yeah.
We helped Kay Bailey Hutchison, our former senator.
And I got to tell you, just last week I was getting ready for work and I heard on CNN, and we have the world-renowned jury consultant, Robert Hirschhorn.
You're kind.
I'm like, I know him. Anyway, these are two of the best you can ever have by your side when you're picking a jury. What I'd like to start with is about the relationship, Robert, between you and Lisa. I know that you guys go way, way back, and that friendship runs very, very deep.
It does.
Tell us how y'all met.
Do you remember the first time we met?
I think you should go first because my memory might be different.
Okay, you ready?
And I think there'll be two really cool stories.
Okay, so here's my recollection. I was a baby criminal defense lawyer. Lisa was in the district attorney's office. I was in San Antonio. It was a Dallas case. I came up, first time I met her. I thought, wow, this is a great woman. She kind of gets things, but we could not come to an agreement right off on our case. And we were finally able to resolve our differences, and it resulted in a plea. But I knew right then and there that Lisa Blue was something special.
Wow. When was that, Robert?
That would have been 80. Let's see, I started practicing in 1981 with Jerry Goldstein.
Okay.
I would say it was probably 83. It was around the 82, 83 area when I met. I was so blessed to meet Lisa for the first time.
Okay, Lisa, let's hear what you remember.
The first time Robert mentioned that to me, my biggest fear was that I was ugly to him.
No.
And I always think, oh my gosh, he'll remember me as somebody who was nasty, because I remember I did some things I'm really ashamed of as a prosecutor. Because when you're a prosecutor, you have all the power. You don't have to be nice. They can take the deal or not. It's not my money, it's the government's money. And I don't think Robert will ever tell me the truth if I was a total witch.
Absolutely not.
Are you sure?
You're a little mean.
Yeah.
But I was used to it because I was dealing with prosecutors all the time.
She was feisty,
She
right?
was fine. She was fine. She was fine. She wasn't giving anything away. I had to earn it.
You know what? I heard a story about her when she's at this DA's office, and it's kind of sterile work environment, and you always had fresh flowers in your cubicle. Is that
Wow.
true?
Absolutely.
That is fabulous.
I love that. Okay, so let's get into jury consulting. Robert, tell us about how you became a jury consultant in addition to being a lawyer.
Yeah, I'd love to. So, graduated law school, got my dream job. I was working for Jerry Goldstein, who to this day is my mentor and one of the greatest criminal defense lawyers in America. So I was working with Jerry, loving my job. I was blessed to have either not guilty verdicts or hung juries in my first 11 jury trials. Right out of law school. I mean, I tried my very first jury trial I was on a third-year program where you could try cases as a third-year law student. So I tried that, and then I was trying my first case within a week of being licensed.
Wow.
Client comes in the office, because I'm thinking,
This is criminal law.
this is criminal,
Okay.
all criminal. And I'm thinking, man, I am going to be the next Racehorse Haynes, okay? This is what I'm thinking. So client comes in, police officer charged with armed robbery. The evidence is 5 eyewitnesses. They found the evidence on him. He was within 100 yards of where the crime occurred. When they arrested him, he had a sawed-off shotgun, an Uzi, and a .22 with a silencer on him as his evidence.
That's a big oops.
Yeah,
Oops.
this is a big oops, right? And so I tell him the case. He tells me about this case, and he says to me, "What will it cost to have you represent me?" And I'm thinking, I'm not losing my winning streak over this case. There is no way, because I can't see any way of winning this case. So I did what any young lawyer would do in my position, which was I said to myself, quote him a fee. Remember, this is a police officer. He was a state trooper. I said, quote a fee that's so high he can't pay it, and then you can refer the case to somebody else, and your winning streak will stay intact. And I thought, okay, cool. So I looked him in the eye. Stan Fleming's his name. I still remember this day. I looked Stan Fleming in the eye, and I said, Stan, if you want my help, it's going to cost you $50,000. This is 1981. It was 84, so I'm a 2-year lawyer. Goldstein is quoting fees of $50,000. There's no way I thought this guy would pay it. And Stan looks at me and says, who do I make the check payable to?
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm thinking, oh, my God, I just learned an important lesson. You always got to do an asset check. You got to make sure what the assets are before you quote the fee. It turns out he came from a really wealthy family. So
that was nothing to him.
No, if I quoted $250,000, he would have said, who do I write the check out to? So, okay. So now I'm praying that the check, doesn't clear, right? I'm hoping it bounces. It clears. I go to Jerry Goldstein. I say, Jerry, here are the facts of my case. What do I do? He listens to the facts. Jerry said to me, Robert, you got to plead that case. You can't win that case. I said, Jerry, I just quoted a $50,000 fee. He said, okay, because most of that fee went to Jerry Goldstein, not me. So he said, Robert, you got to, now remember, this is 1984. He says, Robert, you got to call Kathy Bennett. And I said, who's Kathy Bennett? And he said, she's a jury consultant. And 1984, I said, what's a jury consultant? And he said to me, I'll never forget this. Jerry looked at me and he said, Robert, stop asking all these questions. Go call Kathy Bennett. I called Kat up. I told her about the case. I was able to convince her to come help me. We tried the case. We won the case. I turned to Kat Bennett and I said, you've changed my life. This is what I want to do for a living.
I have never heard that story, Robert.
Yes, ma'am. That's how it started.
Wow.
That's how it. So,
And then you married her.
well, we're not quite there yet. I wasn't there yet. She said to me, Robert, I'll help you. Because remember, for those in the audience that don't know this about Kathy Bennett, and I'd really encourage you all to Google her.
And let me say this, the name of your business is still Kathy Bennett
To
and
this day.
Associates.
Absolutely.
I love it.
And will always be. So please go out and Google who Kathy Bennett was. When Kat died, this is before the internet, before cable, ABC, NBC, CBS, they all did a news break that said Kathy Bennett had just died. I mean, that's how big a news in our country it was when Kat passed. But when Kat said to me, when I told Kat I really wanted to do this for a living, she said, Robert, here's the deal. I'll do it. But for the first year, you have to be a sponge. You have to just take it all in. When I'm meeting with clients, I don't want you interrupting. I don't want you, giving suggestions. I just want you to be a sponge and take it all in. And, I'm a criminal defense lawyer, and I had a pretty good track record in terms of my cases. And so to sit there with a piece of tape over my mouth was really hard, but I agreed to do it. The greatest part was after 6 months, I was able to persuade her to marry me. That was probably my greatest closing argument of my entire career, is convincing Kat Bennett to marry me. We got married.
Was it love at first sight?
At first sight, no. But when the jury went out, it was all in love. Because like when I first met, that's a great question, Lisa. When I first met Kat, she wasn't sure if she wanted to help. And she just said, Robert, I just came back from a case where a dirty cop convicted our client. Because of his testimony, our client was convicted. And Robert, I don't know if I can help another cop in light of that experience. And so I kind of had to talk her through everything, and she finally came around. So I wouldn't say it's love at first sight. In fact, the first thing Kat Bennett and I did, we kind of had an argument. We were working at her house, and we had an argument, and I went back to my hotel, and she literally called my hotel room and said, look, Robert, I've been thinking a lot about what you said, and I'm going to come and help you. And so that's how all of that started. My greatest closing argument was convincing Kat to marry me, and then a year after we were married, one day she's in the shower, and she felt a little lump in her breast the size of like a pea. And so to all the women and to all the men out there listening that have a loved one, a woman in your life that's a loved one, please do your monthly breast exams, because the life that's going to be saved is yours. Kat, so we're married 1 year. We're like newlyweds. And we're now going on a mission to try to figure out how to deal with cancer. And that's what we kept working, and we kept going all over the world trying to figure out the cure. And I don't want anybody listening to kind of feel sad for me, because I'm telling everybody that's listening, it was the greatest 7 years of my life being married to Kathy Bennett. It was just, the gifts she gave me were remarkable.
I so wish I could have known her.
Yeah, amazing.
I got to ask you this, Robert. So you had a great success already as a very young lawyer doing criminal defense work. What did you like about the jury consulting part of it?
Game-changing, in the sense of the tools that Kathy Bennett brought to me as a jury consultant. I never learned these tools in law school.
Give us an example.
Yeah, sure. Remember, this is the early 80s. So law school didn't teach me about listening to the jurors, asking questions that are going to be designed to identify what their value system is, what their life experience is. She taught me about this whole concept of open-ended questions to really drill down and figure out who these people are. But here's the greatest gift, and this is a really important. If Lisa and I and Charla give you the first tip, here's the first tip of the day. Please, don't use stereotypes when you're picking your juries. This is really one of the big things that Kat taught me. That's number one. Number two, we all went to law school. We all had what I call a lawbotomy, right? Before law school, we act one way, we dress one way, we think one way, we use words one way. After law school, all that changes. What Kat said to me is, Robert, undo the law school operation and learn to trust your gut and your instinct.
Wow.
Yeah.
When she said don't trust stereotypes, what does that actually mean?
Yeah. How many times and I've got a great Lisa Blue story here. Here's one of my favorite Lisa Blue stories. No, it's not the one you think it is. I'm helping Lisa pick a jury. We have a woman on the jury who works in insurance. Now, for those of y'all that are doing plaintiffs work, the rule is you don't put insurance people on your jury. Okay. We have this insurance. I think she was an adjuster or something like that. But I noticed that she had this really cool necklace on, like the kind of necklace that if this is somebody hanging out in New Mexico, it was just really a cool necklace that I just loved. And the reason I was so tuned into it is because that's the kind of jewelry Kat would wear. Okay, I'm completely tuned into it. We're getting to our peremptory strikes, and we get to the insurance lady, and Lisa and I are talking about whether or not we want her. And I said, Lisa, I know she's in insurance, but I'm telling you, I think this is the kind of person that if you're going to put an insurance person on, this is the kind of person we want on the jury. Lisa, God bless her, she trusted my instinct on this. We left her on. Lisa was trying the case. The case settled before we got to verdict. The insurance woman wanted to talk to Lisa and said to Lisa, Miss Blue, loved you, you're amazing. By the way, how much were you going to ask for in damages in this case? This is the insurance woman talking to Lisa. And I believe Lisa said we were going to ask somewhere in the range of about $15 million. And I'll never forget this woman, the insurance woman looked at Lisa Blue and said, is that all you were going to ask for?
Are you kidding me?
No, ma'am.
The insurance.
Sure, it's right. So my point is, look, yes, you got to be careful of people in insurance, but don't necessarily take them out. Be willing to listen and let them give you some feedback so you can find out who those people really are. So trust your gut. Don't trust stereotypes.
Let me ask you this, Lisa. When Robert said, I like this person, she's an insurance person, and I think we should let her be on this jury, what was your immediate reaction?
Trust.
Really?
I mean, I used him. I was the trial lawyer. He helped me with every asbestos case. I wouldn't go to trial without him. And I have a saying about Robert, somebody that does something every day is going to get really good at it. And that's what Robert does. That's what he does. We've been doing it for years, but he's done it so much that he's created in his gut just this immediate response, which is really interesting because we work together a lot and we pick Mark Lanier's juries. And Robert is the alpha. And the last time we picked a jury, I disagreed with him, and then I got home and I thought he was probably right.
Did you tell him you disagreed with him?
Yeah, we were sitting next to, it was a Gardasil case that Mark Lanier was trying. And it was a woman that came back and really wanted to get off the jury, and she was trying everything. And Robert said, you know what, she would be fine. The bad guys wanted to bring her back. And he was right.
Y'all kept her on the jury?
Well, no, then the judge finally let her off.
Okay.
And then Lanier talked to the jury. There was a mistrial or something, it got sideways. Robert picked a great jury for Lanier.
That is amazing.
And that's why we work together so well, because I say, you know what?
You trust him?
I trust him. I trust his gut. I trust his responses. Sometimes I give him a little bit of pushback, but...
Does she give you pushback?
Absolutely.
Do you listen?
No.
Sometimes.
There's a hesitation.
She's my little sister. Yeah. I mean, I love Lisa. I've always thought of Lisa as my sister. And I will always tell people Lisa's my little sister, even though...
Never told me that.
That's exactly how I feel about Lisa. It's just every time I'm in there with Lisa, I'm in there with my family.
We work great together.
Yeah.
I love it. Let me ask you this: when you started doing jury consulting work, I think we've all know about focus groups and about your participation in trial. Talk to me and talk to all of our listeners about how that has changed over time from the time you started doing this work,
Yeah.
Robert and Lisa.
Yeah. So there's been a really well, Lisa, you go first.
Okay. So recently, Robert's changed my life. He got me. It's almost like, I don't want to say it's a cult, but I'm so excited.
But it is a cult. But it's okay.
Because I'm very suspicious and I'm not, religious, and I don't believe in miracles. And Robert has literally found the silver bullet because he's working with these very brilliant software people who graduated from Wharton. I'm going to steal all your thunder.
Are we getting into AI now?
Well, I mean,
I love it.
I
Okay.
think the whole thing is AI because it's so simple. How has it changed? And one thing I'm so proud about Robert and VerdictHub, I want the people to hear VerdictHub as much as possible, is that it really works, and the passion that Robert brings to this and the continual testing to make sure that the product that I'm selling and that he's selling really works. I have a cute story, and then I'm going to turn it over to Robert. I don't have any investment. I don't have any money. I don't have anything in this.
Why not?
I'm going to tell you why not. I said, Robert, will you let me invest in this software called VerdictHub that I'm going to let Robert really do the detailed explanation. And he said, no. And I said, why not? And he said, because I'm only going to use it for plaintiffs. I'm never going to turn it over to people that can hurt the little guy. And so I'm not going to let you invest something that you're never going to get your money out of, because I'm not doing it for profit, to sell it, to make money. And I mean, Robert hasn't even, sorry to steal your thunder, hasn't even been paid, because this is what his passion is. Okay. And before I turn it over, we were talking on the phone. It was 2 a.m.
It's true.
2 days ago.
She'd already slept 6 hours by then because she goes to bed at 6
And that's
p.m.
all. And the whole conversation, I went back the next day. We spent texting back and forth for an hour, all about his passion that is really working for plaintiffs' lawyer. So you tell him what VerdictHub is.
Let me start with this.
Let me go back to
Yeah. I want to start with how you originally did jury selection.
Yeah.
And then I wanted y'all on this, but the reason I wanted it as quickly as we could have is because of VerdictHub. I have used it one time already. It is a game changer. But tell us the evolution of jury consulting and how you came to develop this phenomenal company called VerdictHub.
Thanks, Charla. Thank you, Lisa. I really am passionate about this. I tell people I'm 69 years old, but I feel like I'm 39 years old because I am totally invigorated by this. And
you know what, Robert? I could tell that. When I talk to you, I haven't heard you that excited about something in a long time.
Yeah.
It made me so happy.
Thank you, Charla. I tell folks I haven't been this excited since I met Kathy Bennett. I mean, that's how I feel about this. So when Kat and I first started out, we did a lot of focus groups and mock trials, but not a lot of lawyers could afford them. We knew how valuable they were because anytime you can take your case and put it in front of real people that are going to be on your trial, you learn the strengths, the weaknesses, you get all these insights. So we were really fortunate and blessed to work with some of the greatest. Back in the old days, it was 90% criminal that we did, 10% civil. And then once the civil lawyers started figuring out how valuable this was, then they started doing it. And today, I'd say about 95% of what I do now is plaintiff's work, and maybe 5% on the criminal side, me personally. My firm does a lot more criminal, but not me. So it was really a great process, the focus groups, the mock trials, the surveys we used to do. The old days of surveys, we would literally cold call people out of a phone book. We'd literally pick like the second from the last on the middle column in the phone book. That's who you call. That's how we used to originally.
I love it. I did not know that. That's crazy.
That's how we're talking the Stone Age. You know, we're talking back in the 80s, and that's how we would do our surveys back then. And again, we were getting really valuable information, but all of this was really expensive. So ever since, when Kat died in 92, and she'd given me all these remarkable gifts, and I had to decide, do I want to go back to practicing law, or do I want to try to keep her vision and her spirit of the world alive? And I chose for me the latter option because I really wanted the whole legal community to know this remarkable woman named Kathy Bennett. So I decided to stay with Kathy Bennett and not go out and become a lawyer and make a ton of money, because that's not where my passion was. But I was always wondering, as I was winding down my career, how do I keep Kathy Bennett's name alive? How do we bring Kathy Bennett? Because what Kat was all about, the underdog. She was all about helping people that are getting, they have to fight corporations and insurance companies. How can we even the score? And I could never find the answer until VerdictHub.
Oh, God, I love it.
So let me tell you how VerdictHub came about. About a year ago, Bloomberg News calls me up, and they said, Robert, we want to interview you about how artificial intelligence is going to affect jury consultants. I said, sure. Here's the answer. There's two types of jury consultants out there. One kind of jury consultant works up juror profiles. They do online surveys. That's the actual name. They're not online focus groups. They're online surveys. And I do, hopefully, Charlie, we hope we get a chance to talk about that nomenclature. The reporter said, how is it going to affect it? And I said, well, there's a lot of jury consultants out there that do online surveys and focus groups. They come up with a jury profile. They give the jury profile to the lawyer. They charge them a lot of money, and the lawyer relies on the profile. Then there's another group of jury consultants, much smaller group, people like me. Yeah, I use the profiles and all, but I rely on instinct and intuition. So here's the answer to your question. That first group of jury consultants with artificial intelligence, they're going to get knocked out within a year, maybe 2. Within 1 or 2 years, artificial intelligence can do exactly what those kind of jury consultants do. The second group, me, the instinct jury consultants, I'm going to survive for a little while. But it's just a matter of time before artificial intelligence replaces me. The story runs. About a month later, a reporter calls me up and says, Robert, I got these 2 AI guys that want to talk to you. I speak to them and they say, Robert, we read your interview. You clearly understand where artificial intelligence is going. What if we told you that everything you're doing with your surveys and your focus groups, you can do with artificial intelligence at a fraction of the price? I said, fellas, here's the deal. You're either 2 of the biggest con men I've ever met, and you're just trying to take me for money, or you're 2 of the smartest dudes I've ever come across. And I've been fortunate enough to be around a lot of smart people. I said, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a few tests. And if you pass this test, these tests, we'll take it some more. So what I had done a number of online surveys. All I gave my guys, these 2 artificial intelligence fellas who went to Wharton and got their degrees. One of my artificial intelligence partners has 30 patents in this field. All I gave them was the exact same information.
Are they young men?
Yeah, well, a lot younger than me. Everybody's a lot younger than me. So all I gave them was the same information that I had for my online survey. That's all. They didn't get anything else. We had already known the outcome of the case because we had done an online survey. Then we did a live focus group. Then we started picking the jury. Then the case settled. So I knew exactly the value of the case, okay? The online survey that I had done came back with an average verdict of 7.8. Then we did a live focus group. We went into this community in New Mexico. The online focus group came back with a verdict of 10 million. The guys, and again, all they had was just the limited information from the online survey that I'd done. My group came back with $12 million, and the case had actually settled for 15.
When you say your group?
These 2 artificial intelligence guys, because we're all running this test.
Okay.
Because I want to see if there are scammers or not. So they came back with 12 million. And now y'all might be saying, but wait, Robert, they still didn't nail the verdict amount. You just said you settled it for 15, and I'm saying to y'all, yeah, but the online survey we did, that came up with 7.8. The focus group we did came up with 10. My guys came up with 12.
So they were closer.
They were the closest. And we did a couple more tests, and I turned to these fellows and I said, Gaurav, Swaroop, we're going into business together.
Wow. I've got to ask you this because one thing I've always admired about you is your intuition. Watching you watch people is fascinating. How does that come into play with artificial intelligence?
Yeah. At this point, it doesn't, and I don't want it to, because I want to make sure we get to the point where artificial intelligence doesn't replace our lawyers, doesn't replace our judges, and certainly not our jurors. Now, I personally think that day's probably going to come. Not anytime soon, everybody. You don't have to worry. You don't have to turn in your law license and look for another job. But it's coming eventually. I mean, I don't know about in terms of the judge and the jury. Personally, I think it will, but I could see how that not happen.
Right.
I think the day will come where artificial intelligence can replicate instinct and intuition. It's just not there yet.
One thing that you have mentioned to me, Robert, several times is the difference in surveys versus focus groups. A lot of us have heard about these big data surveys, I guess is what you call them, where people has done them, where there's hundreds of people online and they do these studies and they predict what the range of the verdict's going to be. They spot issues. What is the difference in your mind in a survey versus a focus group? And then I want to move into artificial intelligence.
Awesome. Really important. Charla, thank you so much for bringing this up to the audience. A survey is when you're just gathering data from people. A focus group is when people are giving you deliberations, right? So a true focus group or a true mock trial is not only that you're getting feedback from these participants, but you're also getting them to talk to each other. That's the deliberation piece. What all of them are doing are what they call big data.
Right.
What we're doing, we've dubbed smart data.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. Here's how I want you to think about big data. Think of it as a BlackBerry, right? It was.
I remember those days.
Right? Remember?
Yeah.
We all had them. We all kind of were tied to them. What the big data people are doing? They're doing the BlackBerry. What we're doing is the iPhone. We're doing the iPhone 15, the latest version of it. And the reason is because artificial intelligence has gotten to the point where it can not only perfectly identify the venue, but it can also identify and mirror people that live in that venue. So in other words, people in Smith County, Texas, or Bexar County, Texas, or Nueces County, you might have the same demographics, but their mindset, their life experience is different. Artificial intelligence recognizes those differences and can pick them up.
That's just amazing. I know I was brought in to help try a case in Decatur, Texas a month or so ago, and I called you at the last minute, and I said, Robert, I'm really trying to evaluate this case because horrific damages, but you're in Decatur, Texas. And literally, your folks, Caleb sent them a synopsis of the case, and within 24 hours, for $3,000, I mean, you sent us the most detailed report. And the thing that shocked me is you were using the demographics. This is what your jury is going to look like in Decatur, Texas. How in the world can you all do that fast?
Yeah. Artificial intelligence is a game changer. To the lawyers that are watching and listening, I'm telling you, please don't be afraid of artificial intelligence.
See, it scares the ever-loving daylights out of me.
I know. And honestly, Charla, before I talked to my two guys, Gaurav and Swaroop, I was petrified of it too. I now see that artificial intelligence is our co-pilot.
Okay.
We've got to use artificial intelligence. It's here to stay, everybody. It's here to... Lisa, what is Mark Lanier's line? Remember, what does Mark Lanier say about artificial?
There are two types of lawyers, those that use artificial intelligence and those that don't.
Okay. And see, Mark hit it as usual, as he always does. Mark hit the point right on the head. The train is here. You cannot stop this train. You have two options. You can let the train go past you, or you can get on that train and let that train help you get to where you need to go. And what I'm saying to everybody listening to Charla's podcast is get on the train, because this is the future.
I know I don't want to go into the financials of it too much, Robert, but the surveys, which I'm now calling them rather than online focus groups, the surveys, those cost a lot of money. And doing a focus group with you is a lot of money.
It
and
is.
Some of us have cases that just don't justify the cost of that. What shocked me about VerdictHub is it was $3,000, and then you said we could even do 2 or 3 additional studies for that $3,000. Tell us about that.
Charla, this is really important to me, okay? And I want to bring it back to where I started. Kathy Bennett is somebody that gave me these remarkable gifts. And before she died, she said to me, Robert, use these gifts for good. This special thing that we have, that you have, Robert, use it for good, please. And I was struggling to figure out what Kat meant. I just, I didn't know how to do it. I couldn't find it. I mean, yeah, we could do a pro bono case as often as we could, but I wasn't going to be able to to get to that big group that Kat wanted me to. So this whole artificial intelligence thing comes, and the light bulb went off, Charla. It's like, oh my God.
This is it.
This is it. This is exactly what Kat was talking about. Charla and Lisa, my partners, went to the Wharton School of Business, which is one of the greatest business schools in America. And I want to give you something about my partners. These guys know, they get money. They know how to make a lot of money. And I said to them, guys, the only way we're going to partner up is we have to do two things. Number one, we have to make this affordable to every lawyer, not just the best lawyers, not just the lawyers that have just the big cases. It has to be affordable to lawyers that have those smaller cases. The lawyers that always wanted to do a focus group or a survey, but the case just didn't justify it. Number one, you guys have to agree to make this product affordable. And number two, fellas, and this is a deal breaker, we are not offering this to corporations. We are not going to offer this to insurance companies. We're going to offer it to personal injury lawyers and to criminal defense lawyers, because Kat Bennett was all about the little guy. My partners, without hesitation, said, Robert, if that's what you want, that's what we're going to do.
We're in. Wow.
So I said, okay, so how do we do this? How do we make it affordable? And we came up with this number of $3,000, as Charla just told you all.
I hope I didn't get a discount and just blow it.
No, of course not. Absolutely.
Okay.
So here's what we do. So we do the survey. So to audience, all of y'all, or many of y'all, if you've had this opportunity, have done one of these big data surveys, or you've done an actual focus group or mock trial. You know they're expensive. You know they're time consuming. Now you've run it. Now you've spent a lot of time, a lot of money. You get your results, and you realize you should have tweaked. You should have done some stuff different, right? And now you say, okay, well, I can't really afford to do it again. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. So we'll just take what we learned and change things on the fly. The motto at VerdictHub is great trial lawyers don't guess, they VHS. VHS stands for VerdictHub System, or VerdictHub Survey. Some of my partners say it stands for Virtual Hirschhorn System.
I think I like that one. I really do.
I kind of do too, Charla. If there was some way. Oh,
it's about time.
Yeah. So I said to him, look, we've got it. This cannot be a one and done product. That's not the point here. We've got to make it so that the lawyers can really see all the way through their case how it helps. So what we do is you run the first survey, and then you get your results, and then you can run it again at no charge, and again at no charge, and again at no charge. And Charla, you get results in 3 days or less.
You had them with me in 24 hours.
I know.
Because it was one of those last minute. And Lisa's the one.
Because it was you.
Lisa's the one that told me you need to call Robert, because I said, I have this case. I just don't know how to evaluate it. When Robert first told you that he was getting into artificial intelligence as it relates to focus groups or anything regarding jury consulting, what did you think, Lisa?
I thought it was fascinating.
I thought you were going to say you doubted it, but you didn't. You trusted him.
No, because I have a lot of learning disabilities, and so I understand when you're talking about humans in a focus group. And Robert didn't use this word, but it helps me, and I hope it helps the listeners. To me, they're digital jurors. And the way I like to explain it is, let's say I'm on a focus group, and then I deliberate, and I say my opinion. Well, I have a digital footprint on the internet. And so the smart guys are taking they know everything about me on the internet. And so what they do is they feed that to my digital footprint. I'm a digital juror. I'm a real juror when I'm in a focus group, but I'm a digital juror. Was that okay?
Yeah.
I'm a digital juror on the internet. So by using everything that they have on the internet about me, they're going to know more about me in the internet than I know about myself as a human.
Isn't that kind of scary? You find it fascinating. I find it scary.
Because it's here. Somebody's going to do it. Robert and I were talking about, I'm worried about the competition, but I'm very excited about using it in politics, local politics.
Oh, wow. Oh, I love that. That's another podcast.
That's I'm kind of, bye, Robert. I'm off to work with
She
your
wanted
kid.
to invest, and you said no. Let me ask you
No,
this,
I
Robert.
wanted to use it
I get
to
it.
help good judges.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep our hand on that too, Charla, because my son Troy is involved in our country, in our
It was
company.
a genius.
Troy went to the University of Texas at Austin, got his degree in astrophysics.
Oh my gosh.
So, of course, some of the audience might be thinking, I wonder who his biological dad might be, because it couldn't possibly be me, right? This kid is brilliant. I got one superpower. It's picking juries. I just love picking juries. That's my superpower.
It is a superpower.
Troy has a bunch of superpowers. One of them is in prompting. Prompting is the key feature of artificial intelligence.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So when you go to ChatGPT, or if you go to Claude, or if you go to Gemini, or any of they're called large language models. That's the artificial intelligence. They all have different things that they're good at. The question that you put in there, that's called a prompt.
All right.
Okay, that's the words they use. Troy is a genius at that. So I am going to have Lisa and Troy work together on the political side.
Oh, wow.
Because all I care about is the law side. Troy loves the politics. Troy just loves our country, and he really wants our country to go in the right direction. And so he's going to work with Lisa and do everything we can to help people right the ship and get our country headed in the right direction.
I really, really love that. Can I be a part of that just a little bit?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, you are a part of it.
Let me ask you this, Robert. This is something that I've been wondering. Now that I've seen the work of VerdictHub and it's transformative, no question about it. Where do we go from here on using focus groups? Are those still going to be beneficial?
100%.
Can you explain that to us?
Yeah. Again, focus group is where you have a group of people live come in, hear the case presentations, give feedback, and then go and deliberate. That's the focus group. The plan is for those cases that warrant doing focus groups, and not all of them do, the big cases do.
Right.
Because you want to make sure you don't leave any money on the table. You want to make sure you're hitting all the right themes. You want to make sure you can identify who are the favorable and unfavorable jurors. There's all the reasons to do the actual focus group. You use VerdictHub before your focus group.
That's what I was going to ask.
Exactly.
Okay.
You use it before to help hone in on what your themes, your evidence, all the things that you want to learn from your focus group. You test it first with, we call it a VHS. We test it, VHS it. Run that before you actually do the focus group. Now you take what you've learned from the survey, from the VHS, you implement that into your focus group. You run your focus group because you're testing to see, did the themes, did the evidence that VerdictHub identified, did that play? And then you can run a focus group based on that information. And then here's the beauty of what we've done with VerdictHub.
Go back and do VerdictHub again.
Do it again. You do your focus group. You get your feedback. If you're getting either different insights or new insights or insights that either worked or didn't work, you run VerdictHub again. And when you run it the second time, Charla, do you know how much it costs?
Nothing.
It's free.
I know. Let me ask you this. This is just absolutely fascinating to me. If a lot of our time, because I have a small firm, and we spend so much time and quite frankly so much money looking at cases that come in and wondering, how much money should we spend on this? What is this case worth? What I've been thinking, Robert, is VerdictHub would be great to do at the very outset of taking a case. To see what the issues are, to see, are you right on your instincts that this is a good one or not a good one? What do you think about that?
100%. Not only that, Charla, but we all have had cases where you have a couple of different options of what venue to file it in.
Oh, wow. I hadn't thought about that.
So from the venue side, you can use it. Look, if y'all are going to be spending tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars on a case with you're not really sure, you may as well spend a little money up front figuring out right off, is this the right case? What kind of money is this worth? What's the apportionment? I call it the LAD, liability, apportionment, and damages. You want to figure out the LAD of your case. And again, this is one of the things that we can do. If you think of a case as having a life cycle, the life starts when the case is signed up. In my world, it ends with the jury verdict. A lot of lawyers are doing these surveys near the end of the case But
That's what I've always done.
Right. And that's how we were all trained to do it. With VerdictHub, you want to do it early because you have all those options to do the reruns.
That makes so much sense. And you know what? You can save money because it's only $3,000. That's what, when I talk to you about it, I'm like, what, $3,000 to do this? And, one thing that it helps with, too, Robert, for me, I don't want to leave money on the table, but I also want to do what's right for my client. I've always said verdicts feed egos and settlements feed families.
Right.
And I want to do what's fair. And VerdictHub in that Decatur case helped me so much realize, okay, this is what has been offered. Yeah, we could probably get more from a jury, but will we hold on to it and how many years down the road? It just gave me the confidence to go with what my gut was.
Right.
But it helped to have the data, to just give me affirmation that what I was doing was right.
Yeah, it not only, Charla and Lisa, it not only helps if you're going to mediate or try to resolve your case, it helps make sure you don't leave any money on the table. Let me tell you something else we've been doing. I tried this in a criminal case first. My dear friend David Gerger, a great criminal defense lawyer, great, picked his jury. David is all in on VerdictHub. All we were in Judge Mazan's court, who, by the way, if y'all have not tried a case in Judge Mazan's court,
he's the best.
It is the greatest federal court in America to try a case because the Judge Mazan really understands not only the importance of jury selection, but the importance of being fair. So it was in the judge's court. All I had, Charla, was a short little questionnaire that the judge gave us, a rough draft of opening statements.
And this is a criminal case?
Criminal case.
Okay.
Is all we had. We ran it through VerdictHub, and VerdictHub predicted, we did a VHS predicted an 8-4 hung jury, 8 for guilty, 4 for not guilty. They spent the next 2 weeks trying the case. The jury goes out. They deliberate for 3 days. The judge declares a mistrial. And the reason the judge declared a mistrial is because the jury was hung
8-4.
to 4.
Whoa.
This is powerful stuff. And we're doing it in a legal and ethical way because I think it's really important that we put guardrails in. And I just want to deviate for 1 second. I want to go back, put my jury consulting hat back on. Lisa and I and Charla, all of us have been advocating for jury questionnaires for years.
I was going to ask you about that, Robert.
Okay, for like years. We've been talking about you got to get a questionnaire, Charla, those days are gone. I don't think we want questionnaires anymore, except in like extraordinary cases. And I'll talk about what I mean by an extraordinary case in a second. Everybody listening into this podcast, defendants get more benefit from questionnaires than we do. Number one. Number two, defendants are using information that they gather from their surveys and focus groups to develop profiles of their favorable and unfavorable jurors. Hey, y'all, why would we make it easier for them? Why are we giving these defendants data points? They get them from your questionnaires. That's another problem with it. Here's another one. How many times have we all picked a jury and the defendant seems to be striking, for example, all the black jurors? Has that happened to anybody else, or has it just happened in my cases?
No,
right?
yeah.
We see it all the time. You know what a questionnaire does? It gives defendants
reasons,
the race-neutral cover for their striking process. So, y'all, you don't want questionnaires. At least I want to know kind of your view on this as well. So, what do you think about this?
About questionnaires?
Yeah.
Well, you've convinced me.
Let me tell you how much she's convinced you. I was trying a case, 7 or 8 months ago, and I called her. I said, I'm working on my questionnaire, and she goes, why?
Right.
I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, Charla, don't use a questionnaire. And I said, why not? She said, because Robert says not to. Like,
no, but you know
and
what,
he said,
Robert?
AI.
Because Robert taught me we are better than them.
Correct.
And I got to tell you this, that we got a $72 million verdict in that case. And I was apprehensive because it was kind of my security blanket, that questionnaire. But going in, we had, Eleanor, 2 or 3 people on that jury that if we had had a questionnaire, the defense would have struck.
Yep, right. Absolutely.
I mean, it totally changed my mind. But it was scary for me because I'd used them for so long.
Yeah.
Do you remember me calling you?
Yeah,
and you
I
said, do not use a questionnaire.
I said, Robert said, don't do it.
Don't do it.
I'm going to go back to questionnaires in 1 sec, but I got to tell you one other thing. I'm so glad that you and Eleanor are practicing together. We've literally done research on the strongest and weakest.
Eleanor's my daughter, by the way.
I understand it. We have done research on the strongest and weakest combinations of lawyers. Here's the weakest combination of lawyers. You ready?
Yes.
Male, male. Weakest. You ready for the strongest combination? Strongest blows every other combination of lawyer off the charts.
What's that?
When a mom tries a case with a son, when a mom tries a case with a daughter, when a dad tries a case with a son, when a dad tries a case with a daughter, jurors love it. Love it. So those of you that are listening, if you've got a family member in your practice, try the case with them.
And husband and wife?
Oh, husband and wife is great as long as they get along.
I started
They got to
to
get
say.
along. But yeah, jurors love family stories.
Yeah.
And we're in the story business,
Right.
the storytelling business, and we want the message with even our team to tell a story as well. And that's why the family combination is so powerful to jurors.
You know, I have 4 kids, and only one decided to go to law school, and then she practiced up east for quite a while. And when she called and said, "Mom, how much do you pay your associates?" I said, "That's none of your business, honey." And then she calls back and said, "Mom, if I happen to make an application to your firm and was lucky enough to get an offer, could I find out how much I could potentially make?"
Wow.
I'm like, now we're talking, and it has
love
been a dream
Right?
come
Hasn't
true.
it been?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, what did it feel like for you to try a case with your daughter? What did that feel like?
It's amazing. It's just the coolest. I'm proud. And I think she's seen a different side of me.
Yeah.
The first deposition we went to together, we walked out. She goes, "Dang, Mom, you're good."
Yeah.
Well, I've been doing it for a while. And we did another case together, and she was turning to me and said, "Mom, object, object." And I said, "Don't talk to me. Just send me notes." So we had like 8 Post-its on the table, asked and answered, speculation, and she was thumping them. And I said, "You get
love it.
1 thump per question."
Right, right.
But the jury watched our interaction, and you could tell they loved it.
Absolutely.
It's really, really cool.
So it's real.
So we can do artificial intelligence and still have focus groups to be a part of our practice.
Absolutely. You have to do it. Not only do you want to have the lawyer up on their feet and making the eye contact and making the arguments, what you really need to do is make sure that you're making your arguments in a way that appeals to your particular jurors.
Okay.
Right? Because, so here's another one of Lisa and I's tips. So there's a couple of things you need to think about when you're picking a jury. You got to think about we have 4 different generations of jurors now, right? You've got Gen X, Gen Z, you've got my group, the boomers, and different generations learn differently. So you've got to be thinking about the generational aspect and the kind of words you use, because words that resonate with me as a boomer are not going to resonate with younger jurors. Me as a boomer, I want the repetition.
Right.
Right? We're all taught in law school, repetition. The Zs, they don't need the repetition. They get it right off the bat. So again, you've got it, and again, artificial intelligence will help us hone, make us better at our craft, as long as you see the value in it.
Let me ask you this, Robert. When I understand now, it's artificial intelligence. VerdictHub is a survey, not a focus group.
Correct.
When you go to trial as a jury consultant, do you use artificial intelligence during that process?
Again, it depends on the case, because I tend to get involved in the bigger ones.
Right.
So we may not have a lot of time, but we certainly have some resources. We always do a social media background check on all of our jurors. If you have the resources to do it, great. Here comes another tip from Lisa and I. If you don't have the time or the resources, if you have any teenagers at your house or people in your office, all you do is you look at your jury panel, you pick the 5 people, tend to be 40 years or younger because they tend to have the most social media presence. Pick 5 people on the jury you're not really sure about, you're not sure which way to go, and give that to either a member of your family, somebody on your team, have them run a real quick, or do a survey in terms of what they know are doing social media-wise.
Okay.
And you'll get that important information. Even if you get one little nugget on one of those people, it's worth it. It didn't cost you anything because you got your son or your daughter or your family member helping you out. So we use it in that sense. But here's the next thing that's going to come. We're working on it. The day is going to come where we're going to actually be doing focus groups and mock trials with artificial intelligence, where they're going to be deliberating. They're going to be avatars.
Are you kidding me?
No, ma'am. Avatars that are going to communicate with each other.
Will this be in my lifetime?
Yes, ma'am. Communicate with each other, right, in English, just like a real jury.
Okay.
You never have to leave your office. You can do all this in your office. We're going to be able to run this. All you got to tell me is what's your venue, right? That's all I need to know. And boom, we're going to be able to do these kinds of focus groups and mock trials using avatars.
That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's coming.
And a little scary to me.
Yeah, but again, the train has left the station. It's got to be the ethical use. To the listeners and to the people watching this, never, same thing we tell them about social media. You don't friend somebody. You don't friend a potential juror. You don't do anything that is even close to coming up to the line. The same thing with artificial intelligence. That's why we cannot have any unethical use of this powerful tool. That's why guardrails have to be in place, and I'm asking y'all, don't ever do anything inappropriate. Any inappropriate is, while you have a juror on, you are literally using artificial intelligence to dig into who these jurors are. You don't want to do those kinds of things.
Okay. For those who have never heard of VerdictHub, would you tell our listeners, let's say they want to contact VerdictHub and they want to retain them to help them with a case. Number one, how do they contact you? And number two, what do they have to do? What information are you looking for from the practitioner to get the process started?
Great. Yeah. We've estimated that if you do it the way we need you to do it, it'll take 1 hour of the lawyer's time.
Wow.
1 hour. 1 hour. Here's what we need, Charla. We need a case overview from the plaintiff side. We need a...
How long should that be?
Oh, that's a really good question. It can be 1 paragraph or 100 pages. We can do either one or anything in between. You have to do a defense overview. We all, as plaintiffs' lawyers, we love our cases, we love our clients, but because we tend to be myopic, we tend not to look at the defense cases as carefully as we should. That's why when we do actual focus groups, I make my lead lawyer do the defense case so they can really see the world from their side. So
it's kind of like the attitude, how am I going to lose this case?
Exactly. Plaintiff's overview, you got to put as much time and effort into the defense overview, a jury charge, a verdict form. These are all things you got to do to get ready for trial
What
anyway.
about photos or exhibits?
Absolutely.
Things like that?
You just embed them into your case presentation. If there's critical parts of a deposition, you just embed that portion of the transcript into the deposition. You embed it into the case overview. And the key part is the last part, which is, what questions would you like to know about the case? Charla, if you could sit down and talk to a juror about your case, what questions would you want to ask them? We do the exact same thing with as Lisa said, our digital jurors. Now remember, we're not talking about actual people.
Right.
We're talking about people that mirror people that live in your community, which is why whether your venue is 1,000 people where you're trying the case or 25 million, we can replicate either end of that spectrum.
That is just fascinating.
Yeah, it's great.
And I can't remember this, Robert. Does the study with VerdictHub, does it issue spot, have comments from the artificial, what do you call them, the digital jurors? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Would you like to get comments from the...
I would love that.
Guess what? It doesn't.
So what they're thinking about, okay.
So what our program does is it looks at, because we typically use 200 or 300 digital jurors for each one of our surveys. And remember, you get to run it 3 more times. So you get basically 1,200 digital jurors giving you feedback.
For $3,000.
For $3,000. What our program does is it looks at all the comments and synthesizes it down to the most important, most relevant, most meaningful.
That is just amazing. Okay, how do you get in touch with VerdictHub?
Yeah. VerdictHub.ai. If you make the mistake like I did. So my team, I love my team. My team said, Robert, we don't want a .com. And I said, y'all, I'm like an old guy. I'm like a .com kind. Like if I'm looking something up, my instinct is to go to .com. Right. You're not going to believe it. VerdictHub.com was available. So we
okay, that's a sign.
This is Kat Bennett. Kat Bennett has her hands over all of this. It's unbelievable, right? So what we did is if anybody makes the mistake and goes to VerdictHub.com, it'll automatically forward you to our normal website, which is VerdictHub.ai.
I like .com better.
I know,
but
right.
we're closer in age. I
Right,
mean,
right,
that's
exactly,
what it is.
exactly.
Lisa, if somebody wants to get in touch with you and ask you questions about jury consultant, what is the best way for them to do so?
Call Robert.
I knew you were going to say that. How did I know that?
God bless you.
I do. I want to say one concluding thing because I've been
Yes.
thinking about it. The difference between a real focus group and VerdictHub. Okay, we've done focus groups. Now we go to court. The judges just struck our most important piece of evidence, and now we spent all that money doing a focus group. And what I love is now VerdictHub has become my security blanket. Because when you go, you in a focus group, you just do what you think the judge is going to allow.
Exactly.
But all of us have been, surprised, had evidence kept out. And now we have a security blanket. We can go back and say, okay, now the judge has kept this out. What do you recommend we do? What are the strongest
That's
arguments?
really cool. I just thought about this too.
Yeah.
You can do that during trial because y'all have such a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Dadgum, I hadn't thought about that.
Wow. Yeah, I want the listeners to really appreciate VerdictHub. To me is so much better than a real focus group. You're stuck with whatever you presented them. You're not with VerdictHub.
It's a game changer.
And to my younger lawyers out there, this is going to help. There's a learning curve that all lawyers go through. And with our younger lawyers, this is the kind of opportunity that can help you get over that learning curve that much quicker.
Well, this has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you. It was fun.
Thank you, Charla.
And let me tell you, to our listeners, if you have any questions of Robert or Lisa, you can send them to info@morelikelythannot.com, and we will get those questions to them and get you answers as quickly as possible. We thank you for joining us on this episode, and I got to tell you, our next episode is going to be beyond wonderful. I am going to interview one of my heroes, Jim Perdue Sr.
Legend.
He is a legend. I remember when I was just out of law school, anytime I would hear that he was speaking, I didn't care what it cost me to get there. I was there because he is a master at trial, at storytelling, and he's in his twilight years, and he is so excited about being on this podcast, and we are so excited about having him. For any of you that know Jim Perdue Sr. and you have questions you might want to ask him, you can go ahead and send us those questions now at info@morelikelythannot.com. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us, Charla.
I think you can tell, and we at Aldous Law here, we actually kind of like each other, and we absolutely love what we do. And we work a lot of our cases up from the get-go, but we're brought in on cases a lot. We try cases all across the nation. If you have a case that you're interested in talking to us about, we'd love to hear from you. We've tried everything from trucking, workplace injuries, explosions and burn cases, dram shops, rideshare sexual assaults, birth injury, your personal injury cases. If you need a partner to help you with your case, please call us. We can be contacted at aldouslaw.com. We'd love to hear from you.
You've been listening to More Likely Than Not, where the Aldous Law Team turns small margins into massive victories. Love what you heard? Don't miss an episode. Subscribe now, leave a review, or share this with a fellow trial warrior. Remember, we're all just 0.01% away from tipping the scales. Produced and powered by LawPods.